Yes, we both worked at the local Chinese takeaway.
Wow.
Delivery.
Wow.
It literally was. We were the only 2 delivery drivers.
Wow.
Yeah. That was the only way we funded ourselves. So.
What I think is really nice about this is a year ago, or just over a year ago, we were all kind of like going to the gym together. And actually, like in Lichfield, where we've grown up, there's not many people that I feel like I can have this conversation with. And that's why we got on. That's why it's always been like we just talk about business basically all the time. So we just thought like doing this, it's a year on, a lot's happened in the last year, we're all at home, like let's just do it on camera. Let's film it, put it on camera, and just see what happens. Well, for those that don't know, like I just think we should start with like who you both are, like what do you do? Go with that. Mark, do you want to kick off?
I'm Mark, half of Gymfuse. We set Gymfuse up in 2014. We've been living here in Sweden and back here now. We create brands for the fitness industry. We've had an interesting journey to this point. We'll probably talk a little bit later about a conversation we had.
Interesting.
A year and a half ago, outside your house for about an hour. About the struggles and difficulties of of setting up a business. This is Dan.
And what is Gymfuse? Next?
Yeah, so I'm Daniel, the other half of Gymfuse. We basically create clothing lines and build brands for companies within the fitness industry. But the way we started was you know, we've known each other since we were 3. You know, 23, nearly 24 years, which is a crazy amount of time to know anyone. Even at the age of 26. And Marc moved back from China, he was living there. I'd broken my leg, so we were both back in our hometown through like, you know, unforeseen circumstances. And we said, like, what are you doing in life kind of thing? It was that big question, what are you doing in life? Dunno, you? Dunno? You know, we had no idea, but like, I've still got the message on my Messenger. We don't converse on Messenger whatsoever, so this is literally, if I've got it now, it's literally the last
message.
Yeah. It was like, okay, cool, well, do you want to meet up for a draft Coke? We've got this thing, a draft Coke, and it was like, yeah, draft Coke. I don't know why we've always had a thing like a thirst quenching draft Coke, so we met for a Coke. And Marc had brought back some samples, just out of interest, I think, wasn't it?
From China?
Yeah, I was teaching English there, performance, and just by chance met some people who worked in apparel and clothing and textiles. They're like, oh, you studied business now? Are you living in England? Oh wow, yeah, here's some stuff and this is what we can do. So just through, I think I was at a bar having some beers.
Yeah.
Just through this chance encounter. Obviously we met back up in Burntwood. And he said, what? I said, oh yes, and this is pretty cool. I met these guys and they have a factory and they do this kind of gym stuff. So we're like, oh yeah, we haven't got any other ideas, so.
But before that point, had you both talked about like doing something together?
Zero.
Or was it like, you just kind of, he brought these samples back, you were excited by it, so you were like, we could do this, and then you just started bouncing off each other?
Well, before the samples even came to the equation, we messaged you for like a personal level, how are you? Both of them back in the same, and I can't remember the exact like inflection point, but we said, kind of let's do something, business wise. It was very like, you know, it was almost no idea, zero idea, let's create a business, let's do a business. You know, it sounds now so vague, but it was that. So before we met up, before the samples came, we had this motivation to do something together, and we obviously had the trust. We'd known each other since we were 3, so that's a huge thing as well, like the whole partnership thing. Who do you go into business with if you're going to do it? So we said, we preempted the meeting by saying, let's start a business, and then the samples came into it. So then it was like, well, we've got no other ideas, let's do that. And then we listed, you know, some things online, and
this is quite interesting actually.
You started your first, I remember you had, was it an eBay account?
We just had
an Amazon account.
We were just selling like just individual
items, and you had a margin on it.
And we were like, in the short term, get some cash flow, make some sales.
Sick.
Whilst we generate ideas, right?
Yeah, and weirdly enough, like from that point forward, we've obviously done more studying lean startup, Eric Rees and all that kind of stuff. We basically did it. We were getting customers come to us saying, I want a lot of these for my gym.
Yeah.
Like, that's
So,
decent.
so your first like kind of thing that you sold was almost like you both had said we want to do something together.
Yeah.
Okay, done. Right, I've got these things from China. Should we just sell them to make a bit of money to like fund our idea? That wasn't the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
It was. It really was.
And then from there you learned. So then people started asking you or inquiring like, can I get these? Can I get a batch?
Yeah.
Can I get more? I've got a gym.
Yeah.
I want custom.
I want like,
Yeah.
Got it.
The key thing is as well.
Got it.
That we could have been, at this point of like trying to generate an idea and not just doing it.
Yeah.
Just ship it.
Yeah.
That expression. Just ship it. We. I think you can go along for so long, like, oh, what about this? No, it's not quite right. No, don't do that. Change that. What if people will think that? No, that won't sell. It was literally a 48-hour process. We did it. We took an image, got it out there.
We had like I think we bought like a mannequin for like £20, didn't we?
Really?
We had like I don't even know if we had a DSLR. We didn't even have a DSLR.
No.
We basically had a mannequin in my garage, and like with a black screen behind it. Just took the images, plain images.
Yeah, and we looked who else was selling a similar type of thing. There wasn't really that many, but we said let's try and just do it a little bit better any way we can. Yeah.
And how did you like live? Like, how did you fund yourselves in those early days? Like, by the sounds of it, you're doing everything right. You haven't read a book. You've just gone out there. You're doing stuff. You're selling stuff. Like, but how did you live? Did you have jobs on the side?
This is a cool little story.
Yes, we both worked at the local Chinese takeaway.
Wow.
Delivering.
Wow.
It literally was. We were the only 2 delivery drivers.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. And
That's sick.
it really was. That was the only way we funded ourselves. So
Wow.
little stories like
How long did you do that for?
a good 2 years.
Nah, it was less than 2 years.
It felt like 2 years.
It's 2 weeks, right? No,
2 years, yeah. Wow.
8 to 12 months, I'd say.
8 to 12
Wow.
months, okay.
So
Wow.
we do
I did not know that. That
We
is
like-
so good.
do our stuff in the daytime, packing orders or researching or whatever we were doing at that time, and then 5:30. One of us would start at 5:30, one of us start at 6. And we were quite into the gym at this point.
So just talk me through your day. Like, you've got your day, like you might go to the gym in the morning or like go online, sell your products, try and sell more, go to the gym, go back home, sell more, in the evening, get in the car, do your deliveries.
Exactly.
Wow.
And we set up, there's like, a process we went through. We started in Marc's spare room, and we were at like one desk side by side, like elbow to elbow, not enough room, totally, not impractical. And we then moved to the garage when we expanded a little bit and got a bit more stock. So we decided to sit in the garage, be able to see our breath like this.
Like this.
This is our natural.
You're used to this.
It's our natural habitat. We used to get up, go gym, and then at the time, instead of doing like smart work, it was kind of hard work, have to sit at the desk all day and grind it out. So we'd go gym, sit at the desk all day, gimp, work away, and then there'd be this dread to come over us about 3 p.m. when we knew that it was a couple of hours that we had to start. So we'd make our way and we'd deliver the Chinese, and being 23, 24 at that age, and I think in society it's like you'd bump into someone or you'd get the delivery note and you'd see the address and you're like, I know them, I'm gonna have to deliver to someone I know. I mean, it shouldn't be an issue, should it? But like, you knock on the door and like, Dan, how you doing, mate? I thought you're at uni, what are you doing now with yourself? And what do? Do I say, that's £9.60 please, and I'm starting this business bit, So I just said just this, just this, and
it's easier, isn't it?
It is easier, and I mean, I don't know what this
especially
with such a good story, man.
Especially
what I love is like this is the first time you've gone back on your story, so you're both just like coming out with stories that you've both almost forgotten. And you're like, fuck yeah, we did deliver Chinese for 12 months.
Revisiting it.
And what point? I also remember there was a point where I don't know what the turning point was, but you had enough cash from something to then buy in you took a big risk. From what I remember on a lot of stock. Like, was that at the same sort of time as you were like making that money from like shirt sales and from like delivering Chineses, that you got enough cash to go, right, what do we do with this cash?
And I think again it's revisiting it and reading other things. We were just like one thinging it. All we were doing was concentrating on Gymfuse, and so all the money we would earn would go into that. And another thing as well, we did maintain travel. We took a lot of European trips. We took it's £19-20 for a flight or something like that, and we'd do that as often as we could just to reset ourselves. And as we were in a garage, I was sitting next to each other like this, and there was no one else really around. They were either working, so a completely different mindset, or away. So we spent a lot of time together in the same environment. We recognised that it was important to get out of that environment. And so going back to what you said, we eventually raised enough capital, and this next step was we had this one supplier and he was way too expensive and it wasn't quite what we needed. And the next step was to go on Alibaba and take the risk of an unknown kind of fake, entity and make that order. So we made the order, ordered.
How many?
I'm just trying to think how many. I think maybe like 6,000
units.
Units.
5,000 or 6,000 units.
Worth what, like?
So that'd have been like
per unit.
It'd have been like it'd have cost us 12-13 grand or so.
Wow, that's
12 or 13
So
grand.
at the time,
we hadn't bought anything like that. It'd been like the maximum order before that was £1,000 max.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a big order for us, and we had an agent. Her name was Heidi, and that's the person who we dealt with.
I wonder if Heidi watched this.
Yeah, maybe. Well, she disappeared off the face of the earth. That's part of it. So she seemed really trustworthy. She in the sample she sent us that little parcel. Remember the rice parcel, because it was Chinese New Year.
Yeah. So obviously this was our first experience of using of trying to source a manufacturer from China.
Yeah.
So we didn't know the protocol to go through or what to look for. So basically, she just seemed nice.
Yeah. Like she sent like a little traditional Chinese food parcel from her celebrations with the family. So little things like that made it feel a little bit more personal for us. Was a trust signal. It wasn't just like Alibaba transactional. So like, okay, cool, yeah. So for me as a person, it
felt real. Yeah.
So I was happy to give that capital. And it came to payment day. I think we paid the deposit, and then it was, I can't remember at what point this was, but no, it was invoice. She sent us the invoice, the first invoice, and we didn't have good payment terms then. Now we have better payment terms and things like that. So it was a big chunk of money to start with, and she sent over the invoice, and the company name of the invoice was totally different to the one we've been dealing with for the 3 months. Leading up to this point. Getting the capital, breaking down the order, which colours to get, we'd sort of got maybe a few pre-orders or promises to sell, so it negated the risk a little bit. And we said the name on the invoice of the company is totally different to the one you've been working for the last 3 months.
God.
And she said, yeah, I've moved companies, but it's totally fine. That was it. It really was like, sleepless nights kind of thing.
Waiting
after that.
for it to arrive, basically.
Yeah, and it was a long process
We had
again.
another 60 days.
Yes.
At least before it arrived.
So 2 months not knowing if all our capital
Yeah.
was...
And where did that like 12-13 grand come from? Was it like, did you have like a company, had you registered as a company at that point? And did you have like a company bank account, or was it like all...
Yeah, so this will be the start of Gymfuse, I guess.
Yeah.
And this was like the first Gymfuse.
Big.
Like before that, it was like, we just sell some plain vest.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Put a
Now it was
little bit
like
of personal cash
because
in,
we'd had 3 to 4 messages literally on eBay messages saying, it's so and so from this gym. I want about 50 or 60 of these from my gym. Like,
no proof of concept, but literally 3 people.
Yeah, so
small proof of concept, but
Yeah, but that's good. You're following the market.
Yeah, we were like,
let's do it.
It must be hard for them to do it, so we can be a solution for this. So then the formation of Gymfuse, I think then everything we'd made from the plain B2C sales, whatever we could save from the tips from Chinese delivery.
Just going into this bank account, basically.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Wow.
Bank stock order.
And when you did that stock order, were you back down to were you below? Were you in credit?
No, just
zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
So you spent every penny?
Yeah, everything.
And, both going back to zero, knowing that it was going to a company that you had, no historical data on, up to to a point of 24 hours ago, you thought you were dealing with a different company, and this faceless. We knew her name was Heidi. That was it. So we were back down to zero, and for 60 days,
you had
all of
nothing
that capital.
Yeah.
Was
Wow.
in her hands.
that feels to me like that's when it became real. That's when it's like
skin in the game.
Yeah, all your money, all this money that you've grafted for, you've both gone. At some point, you both had a conversation to be like, we're doing this, and we're going all in.
Yeah,
yeah.
But do you know what's interesting as well? At this point, there was almost no hesitation. And you know, it wasn't a case of Mark saying like, "Oh no, I don't know what I want to do," and me trying to convince him the other way around. For some reason, we were both like sure of it. Obviously, we had this doubt together, but it was never like me convincing Mark or Mark convincing me. We were in it together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which was something we hadn't spoken about, or like at the start, like, look, we made decisions like this. But in hindsight, thinking about it, I knew Mark had my back, and you know, I'm pretty sure that'd be mutual.
I think now you've worked together that long, you must appreciate how lucky you are. How good that is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people are on their own thinking about, I want to start something, but they don't have somebody to bounce off or somebody on their level.
It's huge.
For things like, moments like that for me define like basically your relationship, because you're both just like on exactly the same level. You both have got each other's back, you trust each other. And also little things like, you might make more money on your Chinese delivery, you might make less. Like, who puts in, like, it doesn't matter. Because you're both on the same page, and I think that's so rare.
Yeah, it's huge. We're different people, you know, like Mark's, I'd say, like, objective and maybe less emotional in decision making, and I'm like, I send you those voice notes like, you know, let's do that kind of thing. But we complement each other in a way, I think, but yes, we're there for each other, we have this trust, we have this, like, unsaid kind of, I just know that, Mark's there kind of thing for me, and like it's the amount, not just that decision, but we've had orders since with a lot more money on the line, with worse, you know, the potential consequences and downside is huge, and you know, the amount of talking your brain does. If I didn't have Mark to bounce off, genuinely, we wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't act.
We would not be sitting here.
It really makes me have unbelievable respect for solopreneurs.
Yeah.
How they can, because even times where we've, say one of us has been away, or I'm working on something and it's going bad, and I'm like spiraling into this like negative state. Or I always have the option to call down and say, give me a hand on this, and he'd be like, just it's fine, just do this, and but if we were solo. I don't know how you.
We wouldn't be sitting here like we wouldn't be at this point. And you know, I think it's incredible. At that point, I've done that with Mark as well. Ring up and you know, in a real negative state, and there's so much noise in my brain, and I've gone down this like path of like, oh no, this is gonna happen, and then totally objective, like, well, if you think about that, and then that. And I'm like, oh my god, yeah. But you know, it's crazy how just that second opinion changes everything, and
sick.
It really does help.
And if you like, what I love about you two as well, like you know, you were saying you're in the spare room or whatever, the garage, working alongside each other. You needed to get out and travel. You travel together. Like, you spend all your time together. Like, most people, like, you work so hard in so many hours, you just want a weekend away from each other. These two would just go to the gym together, you travel together, you've done so much together. Have you had times where, I don't know, like, it's the opposite and you've needed like a month off from each other? Or have you had like fights? Have you had like real like spats where you've thought, fuck, our friendship's on the line here?
I had a sense of like, a lot of people around us thought like, when are you going to give it up? Come on, when are you going to get into the real world? And that is demoralizing, and I think I quickly realized that the environment, and you know, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, that kind of mentality was everything, because you know, we're humans at the end of the day, and the stimuli you're getting and what people say to you on a daily basis will affect your mentality. So I think that's why we did spend so much time together, because we're the only two that believed in the idea, that knew we were going to make it, that oh man, it's like recording it, it's like I just got chills thinking about it almost. Like, it really was like, and I don't expect people around me just to be like, yeah man, go for the business, you know. It is like, whoa, this is different, this is foreign, like, and I think in society it is quite a natural thing to shoot people down, unfortunately. It's
So did you? So it sounds like you almost, because they didn't get it, not closed off, but you decided like rather than try and educate them and get them to understand, we're just gonna do our thing over here and kind of not talk about it over here.
Yes, because I think if we pushed our agenda too much onto other people, it could cause a little bit of resentment. Like, who do these guys think they are?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that the situation is like that, but we couldn't share them. Like, oh, we had this situation today where we had to make this decision, and it would be like, yeah, exactly, give it up, get a job, like I'm doing this,
Yeah.
So I think that plays hand in hand as to why we did holiday together. We did do this. We spent so much time with each other.
But it was frustrating as well at times, especially if there's a difficult period and you want someone. I think it was almost a blessing that George came home. George was in Lichfield at the time of like a difficult time.
There's been a lot of difficult times.
We had a chance to talk through what was going on with someone who could, backed by experience, your own experience, could give level-headed advice rather than. It's easy to try and ask advice or explain a problem to someone who hasn't been in that scenario.
Yeah.
And through no fault of their own, it's impossible for them to give a reasonable answer. Impossible.
Yeah, it is hard. Have you been more open as you've as the business has grown, or have you always kept it kind of quite separate? Do you live like a double life almost?
Well, I think going back to the initial point of we didn't even know what our value proposition was or what the business was, it was almost hard to talk to people about it because it had confused them more than, and then it confused us as well. And we're like, well, actually, what are we doing? But I think now we had this incorrect perception that we're a B2B business, like it's social, not socially as in person, but on social media and online. It's not really. We can't really build this cool brand because it's just like nuts and bolts.
You didn't know what it was yet.
Yeah. But I think as well because it wasn't polished. It wasn't. We didn't have the website we have now and the social media presence we have now. I wouldn't say it was egotistical, but it was a little bit like we've got nothing to show yet.
You weren't proud of it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We were working behind the scenes, and in hindsight, we should have just got the content out there. If it's not perfect, it doesn't matter.
But what's funny is you did that, like you did shit, but almost like without sharing, you almost like you didn't want to be loud about it because you wanted to be humble, and you are a humble guy, so you didn't want to be loud until you felt like you'd figured it out and you knew what it was, until you could be proud of it and then be like, this is us, sort of thing.
And I think that uncertainty of what our value proposition was, just heightened this sense of entrepreneurship and having a business is full of uncertainty, and I think I've only just personally become okay with this uncertainty in life, which is difficult.
Just years in.
Yeah, it is crazy, and but there's been times like I remember, our group of friends at home, we meet every Wednesday for a meal, which is great, and we were sitting on the car park to the pub.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I talk about this?
Yeah, no.
Because you had a meltdown. No, we're like, and Marc's not very emotional in terms of he's quite objective and a good decision maker, I would say. And we were we were early, 15 minutes early, so we were just sort of chilling, and we'd had a bad day, we weren't getting sales, we were low on capital, and Marc kind of said, I don't think we're doing the right thing. Basically, I think we need to quit.
Change
it was like, I remember the comment, I think, because Marc's got a really good degree, and I could have been working for 2 years on a salary, I could have had this. We had nothing to show for it. We didn't have any.
When we say nothing, we were probably buying the meal that we're having with the lads off like loose change that we've been given in tips.
Yeah, literally. The pot, the drink holder.
Yeah.
I literally fished, my tips out of there to pay for this meal, and I don't know if it was just a natural sort of human nature instinct to say no, we need to do it, and I did give it a little bit of a speech just to say, Marc's done it for me at times as well, but I remember periods of time like that because we didn't have this community and because we didn't have people to reassure us or give us just good objective advice. It was all up there. It's all in our own heads, and that's a recipe for demise. And I think just having an open dialogue like we're having now, we didn't have that open dialogue with anyone, and I think that's why it led to situations like that.
Yeah. And what was it for you that got you through that motivational speeches from Mace, or was it like that would almost excite you or inspire you to then go away and be like, actually, you know, Mace is right? Or did it come from other things like Sweden, for example?
No, so this was all like, this was pre anything
cool.
abroad. This was like probably just before a few months before we last met, so nearly 2 years ago.
That was a low period, wasn't it?
Like we're talking like, I think we'd ploughed all our money, we had nothing, we were doing this job that we didn't want to do. I think something had gone wrong with an order, a customer was pissed off. We were like, what are we doing here? Like, look at this, I'm getting an email at like 10 p.m. at night from this guy ranting about us. I can't even afford to like get a decent meal, like, nah, this isn't right, like something's fundamentally wrong here. But going back to having a partner, like if I'm sitting there in that car by myself, I'm going deeper and deeper into a negative spiral. Yeah. Just to have someone to say, just stop, wait a minute, think about it, like look at what we've done. Look at this, we've done this, we've made sales, just for someone to objectively say it's not all shit. Like
just resets you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I needed that speech in that moment of time.
I think like one thing a lot of people think, and definitely I thought, is like you have those times, but you'll kind of get to this point where you don't have that anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like I always thought there's a point in business that you get to where you make X amount of revenue, or you have X number of customers, where you don't feel like that ever again.
Yeah.
And I've learned that that's not true.
Yeah.
Have you also had that kind of like, you've had that low, you've got back up, but like right now, you know, where are you on that scale? Or have you had more ups and downs since then?
Yeah, 100%. And I think with the more objectively successful you become, the more revenue you make, the more customers you make, it just shifts your benchmark point for the negative side as well. So it's all relative to the where you perceive you should be at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, if something doesn't go quite right for a customer, or we have an issue with a supplier, like it still hurts us.
And there's more on the line. It's that kind of thing now, and we have this innate sense of like pushing that target, that those targets higher. So now it's just shifted. The benchmark has shifted. So the lows and highs are still there just as much, and it can be just as emotional, just as personal kind of thing. It doesn't matter at what stage of the business it is, and they're definitely still there.
And where are you at now?
We've now got I think we sort of zoned out a little bit, and we have this overview of where we want to go with it, and I don't think we've ever had more direction. And we've been back in the UK for 3 months working on it full time now, and it's clear for us to see objectively how much more success we're getting, and we're building something that we're truly proud of, and I think we're building a brand, and it's crazy what that year did for us. And this new sense of direction we have. It
sounds like it solidified, like you realised how like good this is because you spent a year apart or however long apart, realised how good this was. You obviously were around a lot of people, you even tried different other ventures, but actually it feels to me that you come back to this. You come back to this because you're like, fuck, actually, like we've got something big here, like we've got something solid here.
It was really interesting actually. Like, so we applied to these like prestigious universities on these cool programs, and I think Dan felt the same. But me personally, just before I was going, I was like, I'm going to feel like so inferior to these guys. They're all going to have these insane startups. They're going to be like on fire, and I'm going to be like out of my depth, big time.
Yeah, because we kind of went to say like, let's just keep Gymfuse ticking over and let's start a new idea. The view was to, of course, experience it and meet new people, live in a different country, amazing. But objectively was to go together, still with the intention of together, maybe get another person on board, create a new team and create a new startup. But what's insane is, of course, I could go on all the inflection points throughout the year, but now we've come back to Gymfuse, we've come back to this partnership, and I can truly say, working in many different teams, all amazing people, but I couldn't click with anyone to work. I truly appreciate the partnership now. Like, it's less about the business, our value proposition, our products. It's the partnership. For me personally, the partnership is what I truly value, and why I think it's going in the right direction. So
cold in here, but I'm feeling a lot. I'm feeling a lot of warmth. So I feel like I'm going to a bit of an end here, but like where do you, like, if we did this, I feel like this might be an annual tradition.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Definitely.
So if we're sitting
Christmas
here in this cold warehouse in 12 months' time, Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, whatever, like, where do you think you'll be? Like, where will you be? Where will Gymfuse be? Where do you want to be?
I think we're having later today. We're going to do like an annual review, a year review on a personal level and a business level. It's something we haven't done before. So I think we'll know a lot more then. But because we've gone like that in the last 3 months. There's been so much change in the last 3 months, and we're finally clear with our value proposition and clear with the service and the type of company and the brand we want to offer. I feel that the targets we're going to set ourselves, it's hard to benchmark them where it's going to be.
Yeah.
But I think we're going in the right direction. And the sky, I feel like the sky, really is the limit. Like, I want to be working in Europe. We want to be like I want people to come to Gymfuse and have total faith and trust in us to build their brand and achieve their vision. Kind of put it in our hands. Of course, a dialogue between them, give them the freedom to build their idea, but almost think, no, I'm not going to Alibaba. I'm not going to try and do it myself, kind of thing, because Gymfuse will take me to a better place.
Yeah.
So less like, I want to turn over this figure, but I want people to feel that when I go to Gymfuse, I know they're going to nail it for us, and it's going to give me the catalyst to growth.
Yeah, for sure. The Gymfuse is so. In our heads, Gymfuse was a company whereby we could create a clothing line, just physically the clothing. It's shifting now more towards it can be a platform and a catalyst to build a brand.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not just, we almost used to give people a problem, like, here's some clothing, like, go and do something with it. And then we're like, this could be the first time they've ever started something, or even if it's not, we're like, just from our point of view, where we get to see gyms, brands, supplement companies, we need to be giving more value.
Yeah.
We need to be helping them more, nurturing them more, not just saying, there you go, there's some cool clothing.
Yeah.
Go and try and sell it somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the business is shifting and adding new dimensions all the time.
Personally, I think, tough to say, but we do have the desire to move to a big city, probably in Europe, like in mainland Europe, whether it be like Berlin or something like that.
But we'll be back here. For next year.
12 months time.
Regardless.
Watch this space. Follow Gymfuse, Dan Mason, Marc Asprey. We'll be back here in 12 months. Hopefully with a heater. Boom. Get in.
Awesome.
Get in.
Man. That was sick.
Was that good?
Yes.